hello, and welcome once again to this Mummy the Curse Chronicle, Oceans of Eternity. Today we are on session 5 of our campaign here, of our chronicle. And for those that need a refresher, on the last session of Oceans of Eternity, our mummies, Sachet, Damos, and Nesret, were putting together the pieces of their former lives while hunting down the villain that had tried to seal them away in a prison tomb for all eternity. The investigation led Sachet to the great city of Constantinople, capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. Here, alongside her new follower, Father Vatatzes, Sachet searched for the remains of her tomb. However, she was distracted by the Meze, the great thoroughfare of Constantinople, where a bazaar of staggering size sold and traded every good imaginable. Grain from Egypt, silks from far-flung China. But it was the food that caught Sachet's eye. She hungered for them, not a physical hunger, but a spiritual one. In undeath, she had no need of mortal food, but her ab, the pillar of her heart, cried out to experience the gastronomic passions of the living once again. But with no coin to spare between her and Father John Vatatzes, Sachet drew upon the first tier of dreams of dead gods, an utterance that bid fate to bring someone rich into her orbit, knowing that wealth would be indispensable in this day and age. But fate acts on its own schedule, and the passions of the heart are not patient. Sachet...
Well, they are not.
No. And with that, Sachet unleashed the third tier of the dreams of dead gods utterance, and commanded the emotions of all who beheld her, bending them in service to her whims. She exuded an overwhelming aura of dread majesty, causing countless mortals, passerby in the crowded Meze to gather around her, stricken with an overwhelming, inexplicable love for a woman they'd never seen, but they did not know. And Sachet basked in that attention and bid her newfound adoring fans to bring her food and clothes fitting of her majesty. She feasted to her heart's content and adorned herself and Father Vatatzes with fine silks. But as the attention grew tiresome and the food lost its luster, Sachet was confronted by an unusual stranger, an Aegean cat. After giving it a morsel of fish, the cat became a fast feline friend, following Sachet as she began in earnest her search for her hidden tomb. Meanwhile, in the ruined temple of Apollo on the island of Antigone, Damos and Nesret paused their interrogation of the soldier to check up on Vitalius and Minervina. Vitalius proved to be more injured than he had let on, and would need medical attention soon before his condition worsened. Damos and Nesret also learned that the Cappadocian mentioned by the soldier is a high-ranking official within the Byzantine government. Minervina revealed that she had experienced visions and omens all her life, and that she had seen Damos and Nesret in these visions before. She came to the temple of Apollo, hoping that the god of oracles would help her understand the meaning of these visions. But she discovered that the temple had been desecrated by Christians. Minervina prayed for days without answer, before eventually being captured by the soldiers patrolling the island, who found her praying at this pagan ruin. She perhaps rightly believes that Apollo will not answer her prayers so long as his temple is desecrated. Seeing as she lacks the means to rebuild the temple, Minervina has elected to follow Tomos and Nesret off the island in hopes of proximity to these two figures from her dreams might make their meaning more clear. Tomos and Nesret made one last attempt at forcing the captive soldier to reveal more information. However, the soldier proved resistant, once again refusing to answer their questioning, and instead praying to his god. Nesret noticed that the man had begun to exhibit signs of Sybaris, the sickness that is caused by the foul necromancy that animates the Arisen leaking out into the world. Nesret hatched a last-ditch plan, forcibly exposing the soldier to more of his magic, hoping to weaken his mind. He unleashed his mystic smoke, once again using those inky tendrils to wrap and squeeze the soldier. But the plan backfired. Nesret went too far, driving the soldier straight into madness. Frustrated, Nesret gave in to his worst tendencies and set the soldier ablaze with mystic flames. Tomos dispassionately observes as the soldier burns, disappointed that their best lead has gone up in smoke. Tomos, Nesret, the inheritor Vitalius, and the oracle Minervina steal the soldier's boat and sail towards Constantinople. Once there, they keep a low profile as Vitalius guides them to their tomb. There, they find Seshet, Father Vatatzes, and a cat waiting outside. The group shares what they'd learned in their time apart. Most importantly, Seshet reveals that someone else has defiled their tomb. The passageway had been bricked up, the main door sealed with an ominous eremite inscription. Death will slay with his wings whoever disturbs the peace of this place. And with that said, the sun slipped beneath the horizon, and as twilight faded, so did the Sakhem of our mummies, their deific powers continuing to wane bit by bit. Creeping doubts arise. Can our mummies reclaim their tomb, restore their cults, and claim revenge against their mysterious enemy before death claims them once more? We shall see. So, once again, you've all kind of gathered outside of your tomb, the ruin situated atop it, a decrepit, abandoned manor, as it were, that contains the secret passageway to your tomb. You are joined by some of your companions. There's Father John Vatatzes, who is here, Minervina, and a wounded Vitalius, who all are kind of laying about. You've had a chance to share a bit with each other, but getting back to the manor at hand, now that you've had some time to catch up, what's your next step? What direction do you head now?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious, and yeah, we gotta clean out our tomb, take out who who's ever defiled this and take what's rightfully back ours.
I
Yeah.
agree with the sentiment.
And Sisette will lead the other two into the entrance of the tomb and tell Father John to stay back and behind. And very much the same to the cat Mao.
Yes. Little Mao.
Yeah.
Very well. What of your companions? Not that Vitalius is in much of a position to be moving, as it were. The trip here has certainly taken quite a bit out of your inheritor. But what of the two of them? What words do you share with them, or what would you have them do as you plot your next step?
Well, obviously, Thomas will tell Vitalius to continue resting. Not to try and get up and stress himself. We can handle ourselves. My order for him is to take it easy and make sure he stays alive. As he says this, he will also turn to the other two companions and say, I know I do not lead either of you, but if I may ask if you can take care of my companion Vitalius here, I would be in great debt to you.
Were you turning towards Father John, or are you turning?
Yeah, Father John and
The cat?
Minervina.
Oh, maybe.
Minervina.
Yeah. Minervina just kind of nods. I mean, she's been taking care of him as best she can at this point. And Father John Vatatzes, he kind of looks over Vitalius. And there's not exactly a, shall we say, a pleasant look on his face as he sizes up the extent, shall we say, of Vitalius's injuries. But nonetheless, the priest says that I'll do what I can to ease his pain.
Really appreciate it. We will take care of things after we deal with our lair. Yeah. Thomas will turn around and draw a dagger, start walking to the tomb.
Yeah. Sisette will follow along. Though she has no weapon, she does not draw out yet.
Yet.
Yeah.
What of Nesred? Do you have any? I guess. Let me rephrase that.
Oh, that's cool. If she wants to stay back and help him, that's cool. I'm not gonna add anything to it.
Because I was gonna say, I think there was a sword as well that you had stolen from that soldier. But nonetheless, the lot of you our Maret makes their way towards their tomb, and it's probably somewhat of a familiar sight for Seshet at this point, though as you descend it becomes increasingly familiar to the lot of you as well. You make your way through the decaying manor upon where you reach the strange mosaic of Anubis that conceals a hidden staircase. You follow it down into the earth, descending until you reach a passageway leading to your tomb. Here you see the remnants of a brick wall before you, though with a rather sizable hole that's been punched out, shall we say, through the middle of it. The walls are lined with more mosaics, these depicting the westward journey of the soul, as it were, through the deserts of Neterkertet towards the western peak, Manu. The passageway and the murals terminate at the end with an image of the Aket, the soul portal where one enters the Duat. Beneath this image is a great stone door, inscribed with curses and dire portents in a variety of languages, promising eternal suffering for those progressing further. As mentioned, what is unfamiliar to each of you, however, is a length of cord tied around the handles, wrapped rather thickly. It's affixed with a clay seal in the shape of a scarab. There's an inscription written in Iremite on the seal that reads, "Death will slay with his wings whoever disturbs the peace of this place." And as each of you take your time, examining this oddity that becomes sticks out, shall we say, amidst your recollection, you notice something else, as it were, something obscured behind the seal, as it were. There's a mechanism of some kind, a lock, as it were, that is obscured behind this clay seal. One final layer of security, as it were.
Yeah. Oh.
And
sorry.
I was going to say, and as well, Sachet had analyzed the inscription using the secrets of her guild, the scribes of Seshahebsu, and realized that whoever had inscribed this warning was sincere in their message. There is some danger, as it were. This isn't some lie to dissuade the curious.
Yeah. In preparation for what Sisette believes could be a conflict, she is going to unleash one of her utterances. Blessed is the God King at tier 3. She utters the words of power, and for a second nothing happens, and motes of energy begin to coalesce and surround her. This raw second of the world gathering around her and completely engulfing her for a second, transforming her from the woman that she is into a 7-foot tall lioness of a woman. She's got like a big lion head, and she's like taken up a whole new proportion, seeming much bigger in the world than she usually is, and in her hands is manifested a Kopesh. Divine origins. Yeah.
A magnificent,
Meow.
yes, transformation, as Seshet invokes this power. And so magnificent, perhaps the tunnel, as it were, almost strains to contain your magnificence. You're almost kind of hunched a bit. You just kind of got this primal posture, as the walls and ceiling of this tunnel were not intended for such a magnificent being as yourself, as you manifest the might of your gods and your judge.
I'm imagining. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm imagining in my head. I look very much like the god Sekhmet.
Probably yes.
Yeah.
Lion-headed and ready for.
Yeah, and with a compass. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that transformation, we fall to Tomos and Nesret, who witness this unleashing of power. And do with that as you will, though something to, shall we say, something that comes to Nesret's attention. Your guild senses are tingling. You are well attuned with the architecture of places, concealed chambers, hidden passageways, and traps. And you are well aware that this seal is a trap of some variety, though given its positioning, shall we say, its rather plain or even primitive appearance, it's likely not some kind of mechanical trap, if as you were. Some kind of curse, you likely reckon. What do you guys do with both Seshet's transformation and Nesret, your trap senses tingling?
Well, Seshet will give the others a second to see if they have any utterances that they want to unleash before moving towards the seal to break it. Do they do anything? I'll take the silence as a no.
That's a negative for
negative.
Nesret. What if
I
Thomas...
break the seal. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Given our current situation, I might use not an utterance, but an affinity called Opener of the Way.
Ah, yes.
No.
I will spend a willpower point, which will unlock the door.
A wise move. You unleash your power, as it were, channeling the opener of the way, and you hear a rumble as some mechanism turns within the door, and after a moment you hear an audible click, and the door comes, shall we say, slightly ajar, as it were, though the length of tied rope fastened with that clay seal holds the handles together, as it were. But the door is kind of cracked open enough for you to, shall we say, peer inside of it. And with that, peeking in through the slit, as it were, you see your tomb. It's
Sweet tomb.
It's a mess, shall we say. But the first thing that hits you, really, is a stench as the air once sealed in this tomb wafts out at you. It's a stale, putrid smell. It's foul and fetid, this air that permeates the chamber. You spy, again, it's not, shall we say, a full visage of the room peering as you are through a thin slit, a crack, as it were. But you can see on the far wall more mosaic, continuing in the tradition of those that have come before. There's also a pedestal in the center of the room, which sits empty. And there are 3 doors that you see roughly equidistantly spaced on the opposite side of this circular chamber. And perhaps to your chagrin, the 3 doors are also cracked, slightly ajar. But more distressing, shall we say, is the mess that I said that litters this room. Scattered upon the floor, some braced against the walls. There are skeletons, white bone scattered about haphazardly, bits of tattered cloth still clinging to them. There's quite a number of them.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So the seal's still intact and like pretty much keeping the door closed right now. Like it's open, but like we can't get through
yes.
it.
The mechanism has opened. Yes,
Yeah.
but the seal is still. The door is kind of come slightly ajar, but the seal, as it were, is still holding the handles of the door. So it's kind of like open, but kind of cracked slightly, enough for you to peer inside. Though, shall we say, it's not like it's, shall we say, straining so much against the frayed rope, as it were. There's not, shall we say, a lot of force behind, shall we say, the opener of the way. It just kind of catches, shall we say, on the seal. But it's a simple thing, it's a length of rope wrapped around in this clay
brick.
Yeah, this brick kind of with the cords kind of intertwined into it and around the handles. But it's a rather simple thing to break, as it were.
I'm not afraid of any petty curses. I break the seal of my divine Kopes, sundering it in 2. What happens, Trevor?
All right. You take that beautiful Kopesh of yours, and you swipe it down on that seal, and it puts up little resistance to your divine might. You cut through it as if it were butter, and the rope and clay kind of clank to the ground, as it were. And for a moment, there's nothing, as it were. And as the clang, shall we say, of the clay hitting the ground comes to a silent stop, you see the clay seal begin to morph as it were. The clay kind of softens as if it had been wetted once again. And it takes on sort of an amorphous shape and it begins to settle. It kind of congeals, as it were, into almost an egg, as it were, a sphere, a ball. And the clay, as it congeals, it hardens once again, and it cracks open, and a scarab, beautiful and bejeweled, flies out of this ball, and with phenomenal speed, flies directly at your deific form, Sachet. And as you kind of swat at the thing, it kind of grabs onto your arm with its little claws, as it were, and with horrifying speed, this beetle, this scarab, immediately burrows under your flesh and begins working its way up your arm. And with that, why don't you go ahead and take a point of bashing damage as this scarab burrows under your dead flesh.
Okay. 1 point. Are we? Yeah. I'd like to get this scarab out of me if I could. I wanna, yes. I guess I imagine there's underneath my flesh. It's there's a large bubble.
Yes,
just
where this thing is kind of wiggling
my...
up your arm, working its way under your skin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my khopesh and just kind of scythe it down and try to cut the lump out.
cut this this horrific creature out of your flesh, and you do. You take that. I mean, it's not too difficult, save for the uncomfortableness of hacking away at your own flesh. But nonetheless, you take a point of lethal damage as your divine khopesh sunders a chunk of your flesh, along with this scarab as well. And much like sabering a wine bottle or a bottle of champagne, this little scarab gets sent flying out of your arm, and it kind of thuds against the wall of your tomb, and it kind of falls to the ground, and it kind of skitters a bit before flopping over onto its back, and you see its legs kind of curl up into itself.
I want to smash it with my khopesh. Bonk!
Just to make sure it's dead, you bring down that khopesh, and the little beetle crumbles, and as it does, smashing it into pieces, as it were, quite literally, as the now shattered scarab, to your perhaps amazement, crumbles back into little pieces of clay.
I was kind of expecting more. Chasette's just nods her lion head and fully opens the doors in front of her, and goes into the room and begins examining it, noticing all like the bodies and whatnot. Could I make like some sort of investigation check to like figure out what's happened here?
Yeah. Let's, that sounds like an intelligence and an investigation
Okay.
as you search the scene.
Great.
And,
Luckily,
while you're making that roll, you push the doors to your chamber aside, and the full, shall we say, glory, though tarnished as it is, of your tomb becomes clear to each of you. And you see the rest of the picture, as it were, is similar to the snippet that you'd seen before. More bodies scattered about. The empty pedestal in the center of the room, and mosaics kind of wrapping around the length of this chamber, similar to those before, but slightly different motifs, as it were. There are sets of gates, 7 of them, around, kind of following in a circular pattern. And beyond the 7th gate is this depiction of this black city of these great spines or spires jutting out of it. There also appears to be another mosaic, as it were, this one on the floor of the chamber, centered, as it were, around this pillar, or this pedestal, excuse me. Though most of the mosaic is obscured by the remnants of the bodies that are kind of clumped up around this central fixture of the room. And once again, there's the three doors similar to the main chamber that you had just come through, and you recognize these as being the doors to your personal chambers within the tomb, where your sarcophagus, your treasures would lie. And again, much to your displeasure, the doorways to your chambers have been opened. They sit ever so slightly ajar.
yeah. I got 3 successes on that investigation roll.
All right. So you you make your way into the room, and you begin to look about. You gaze with your divine eyes, attempting to ascertain what had happened here. Though before you truly get to examine, as you first cross the threshold into your tomb, you are assailed, as it were, with this strange sensation as you take your first steps in. There's a palpable aura to the room, a sense of profound foulness, a mystical malaise that seems to seep into the stones of this chamber. And more than that, as you step in, you feel that malaise seep into you, and your magic, it feels unclean here. But
Okay.
getting to your investigation, a number of things that you notice with your 3 successes. Most distressingly, the corpses here, of which there are perhaps 24, though it becomes hard to tell where one skeleton ends and another begins. You estimate perhaps 24 lie in this central chamber. And the skeletons, what clothes remained, preserved fairly well, as they are within the somewhat sterile environment of your tomb. You notice that many of them bear the paraphernalia of your cults, the religious iconography your members would use to identify one another. And these skeletons, as they are, there's something else that's a bit unusual, a bit peculiar. Given the time frame that you know, the roughly decade it's been since you had last been awoken, since you had last been in this tomb, the bodies here are bone white. They are skeletons, and you. Oh, sorry for the dog. Hey,
It's all right.
come here. He's just as upset as a lot of you.
You mentioned bones, he's going off.
He's like, oh, did someone say bones? Anyway, but I set him off. Oops. But nonetheless, the corpses are far more decayed than they should be. Your tomb is shall we say, a preservative environment.
Very dry.
Yes, it's very dry.
Sealed off.
It's sealed. It's anoxic. These bones. It's not the result of a natural decay, and indeed, as you examine them, you notice telltale marks on the bones. There are little indentations, little scratches, as it were, numerous ones covering the length of these bones. They haven't just decayed or melted off. They've been picked clean.
Somebody's eating them. Yeah,
And while Sachet is investigating, Tomos and Nesret, what are the two of you doing?
There's a pedestal in the middle. Right?
Yes, they're in the center.
Is there anything on it?
In the dead center of the central chamber here, there's a pedestal, and it stands empty. And as you get closer, as you enter the room, you as well feel this profound foulness that radiates through this chamber, an unclean aura. And you notice that the pedestal, as it were, is inscribed, though it's some of the corpses that have been kind of half propped against it obscure some of the finer details, as it were, the totality of the inscription. There appears to be some iremite, some arcane inscription of sorts that's been carved into this pedestal. But yes, to answer your question, it stands empty. And if you want to know perhaps a bit more about that pedestal. Why don't you give me a, let's say, an intelligence and occult roll?
Can I use my encyclopedic knowledge with this? Of the cult?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with that merit.
You're like the first person I've ever played with that's ever picked that merit up.
Yeah.
And I've used it so much. It's useful for getting information.
Did you...
Especially if you pick it up and something about it. It's I get a +2.
Okay.
I did it on a cult.
Alright, so yeah, why don't you, give me, your, roll.
4 successes.
4 successes. Pretty solid. Almost an exceptional. So, you do your best to understand the inscriptions, and perhaps you, take a bit of effort to, move some of the corpses obscuring the inscription. And again, you see that a number of these bodies, kind of centered around this pedestal, seem to be obscuring another mural on the floor that you can't quite make it out. But that's not a pressing concern for you. What is a pressing concern is this pedestal. And you understand the inscription. You understand its purpose, its meaning. This is the center of your tomb's life web, the mystical, sacred geometry. It coalesces at this point. This is the nexus for the energy, as it were, that powers your tomb. And more than that, you notice, quite obviously, that there should be a relic of some kind to anchor this life web, a central unit of power to radiate throughout its chambers. And to your dismay, there's no such relic here. It stands empty. And with your 4 successes, a bit more, perhaps, you're familiar with this sense of malaise that you experience. The ground here is sick and twisted. It has been unhollowed. And you know that all who tread upon this cursed land will have their magic corrupted by this mystical infection of sorts. And you understand that this sickness, as it were, stands a chance of causing your magic to go awry, to fail at times quite spectacularly. A mystic bomb, as it were, waiting to go off. A powder keg of chaotic energy waiting for a spark to unleash it. But nonetheless, with your 4 successes, I'll give you one more piece of information while we're at it. This unhollowed ground, there are few things that can cause such a perversion of the natural order. Things such as fiends lingering in the world, or the presence of Omcot, or foul necromantic rituals, or the construction of sacred architecture, but it's inverse, as it were. If someone might construct a tomb to align, to harmonize its energies, someone could also do something similar to desecrate energies. But given the state of your tomb, the actual structure of it seems sound enough. It hasn't been desecrated that completely. They haven't inverted the architectural elements that make up its foundation. So you reckon it must be one of the other three, some sort of foul creature or some foul ritual that has been performed here that would corrupt the magic so thoroughly. And what of Tomos? What's he doing?
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do I feel so? Is it just? Do I feel it would be a bad idea to use magic here, or?
Yes, shall we say? Not. How do I put this? You know that your magic stands a chance of going awry here, to fail quite.
I just want to make sure I understood that right.
Yes, to put it out of character, meta knowledge, as it were, or to put it into game terms. Any failures for magic, the use of magic, become dramatic failures automatically.
We get the beat though?
You do not get the beat. It is.
Oh, what's the lighting situation in here?
A truly horrendous curse.
It is not great. As we mentioned, Night had just.
So it's only bad if I fail, right?
You are correct. Your magic.
Oh, I'm pretty.
Your magic
I'm pretty
stands a
confident.
chance if it fails to fail quite spectacularly.
Cool. I'm gonna use a pillar of ab and above the pedestal, maybe close to the ceiling, because it sounds like I can control that. I want to create a tier 1 flame. So to start tomb, it will be permanent. It's Secum plus Ren.
All right.
Oh, it worked that time. Cool. Did I fail?
No, you succeeded quite spectacularly. Six successes.
I think your second is. You haven't updated your second since last
Oh
week.
yeah,
Oh.
your second should be.
But still, you're way.
Well,
ahead,
whatever. I would have
Yeah.
been fine.
Yeah.
You're still.
I forgot to take off my 2 dots.
You are still a-okay.
You could take.
But yes,
More than
and perhaps in knowing the risks involved of using magic on this
I'm
unholy
arrogant.
ground, you do your best to concentrate and cast it correctly, which you do. You conjure a wild mystic flame in the center of the chamber that casts the room in a nice, warm, flickering glow. And with that, there's movement in the tomb. And you about, and you spy its source. There's a few little scarab beetles. Frightened by the light, they kind of scurry off into the darkened corners of the room. Though, why don't someone give me either science or animal, Ken, if anyone has either of
Yeah,
those.
sure. So science intelligence.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Boop. Oh, one success. I hit 8 dice on that.
a singular success. So
That's all you need is a success.
yeah. So you notice something, shall we say, a bit concerning with this. You're well familiar with scarabs. They were a potent symbol of your culture and the pale imitation, the successor state of Egypt, of Kemet that followed. And these scarabs look quite familiar. These are, although the term, I would say species, has not been invented yet. You know these are an Egyptian scarab, and you are far from the Black Land, as it were. They're a bit out of place here.
Yeah, there's too much greenery around here and trees and whatnot for this to come around. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a desert beetle.
Yeah, it needs sand. That is rough and coarse and gets everywhere.
The true enemy
Yeah.
of the Arisen. Sand.
Yeah, I'll share this with the others. This factoid that these scarabs are non-native to this area. They've been imported from Egypt, or created here. Given the magic we saw at the with that cursed tablet, I'm putting my my money on the latter. Later. There we go. Yeah. Out of curiosity, like looking through all the skeletons, like the clothing is like still there, and I like go through them all. Like, do I like recognize like any of the clothing of like any of these bodies here, or they're just like all blank to me?
Do you mean like, do you like recognize any like particular articles of clothing?
Yeah, particular like articles of clothing that might have like belonged to a cultist of mine. I'm just like my character's like trying to like, do I know these people? Can I remember them?
So I had mentioned earlier that many of these corpses and the clothes are tattered. They've been torn in places. There's some damage to them, but it's less of a rot and more of a mechanical, shall we say, force. But
Head.
yes,
Yeah.
it's been teared or torn. But I did mention before that many of these clothes, at least where they're still intact, bear the sigils and signs, the iconography that your cult would use to like identify one another, whatever form that takes for each of your cults. But you would likely recognize that at the least.
Okay. Yeah. I was mainly like trying to figure out if there's like I could pick out an individual, or is it just like it's like so it's like messed up so much that I can't tell it. Like I can't make out individuals.
Why don't you give me a memory roll?
All right, here we go. Nah.
Nothing. So you
No.
rack your brain, and unfortunately, just going off vestments and blank skulls. There's
I need more information.
yeah, there's not quite enough to jog any specific memories. You know, you stare at the tattered clothing, but nothing quite clicks. But then again, it's quite hard to get an impression from a skeleton. There's no, defining facial features that one would more prominently recall. But nonetheless, while you guys are doing this, what's Nesret, or not? Sorry, what's Tomos been doing with this time?
Well, I think maybe he'd want to go check out his own door, part of the tomb, look inside, see what's happening in there.
All right. So you make your way to the door to your tomb, stepping over these skeletal corpses until you stand at its threshold. Do you peek inside, or do you open those doors and walk straight in?
I'll try to peek first.
All right. So you peek first, and it's a more welcome sight, as it were, from at least what you can see through the crack in the door. You can see your sarcophagus. The lid is open, is ajar, and there are items, treasures, things that you would perhaps collected over your many years, and at least from what you can see of this sliver of the room, they don't appear to have been disturbed or removed from the chamber.
I think I'll slowly push the door open.
All right. You slowly push the door of your tomb open. You peer inside. And as you do, you notice the light from Nesret's mystic flame floods this chamber as well. And more scarabs scatter into the dark. The room is mostly untouched, and you walk into it, and you see your sarcophagus. You see the treasures that you've collected. There are mostly weapons, antiques, shall we say, elegant weapons from a more civilized age. But there are a number of implements of war, all carefully arranged, carefully preserved, mostly Egyptian and from Mesopotamia in origin. And as well, there appears to be some personal trinkets, little items, little treasures, as it were, that appear to be a Persian in origin. Though something that does perhaps give you pause. There's a set of unfamiliar treasures on one set of the wall. You don't recall a time placing them there, though you imagine that you must have, for who else would place them there? But the implements on this wall are of a concerning nature. There are whips, manacles, rods, chains. The implements of slavery, as it were. Though you have little time to ponder this strange addition, as you notice something more distressing than an unfamiliar decoration. Beneath your sarcophagus are a set of 4 spaces, as it were, ritually prepared. They sit empty, bereft of an item. And recollection quickly returns to you what should be here, what is supposed to sit at the foot of your sarcophagus. Something important, something, dare I say, vital to you. Your canopic jars, your preserved organs, your backup bodies, as it were. They've been smashed. You examine the slime, the sludge of your congealed organs as you see they've been like splattered against one of the corners of the room. And looking through the pieces, you can see the heads that would have adorned the tops of these sacred jars. And more confusing, perhaps, or distressing, depending on how you perceive it. You count the jars, the fragments. They're not all there. 3 of your 4 jars has been smashed, but there's no sign of your 4th jar. It is missing. And while you ponder that, whether that bodes good or ill for you, a missing jar. For the rest of you, picking through the remnants of the room, examining things, why don't you guys give me a perception check? Wits and composure.
Yes, 4 successes.
Does it include me or no?
Yeah, why don't you roll as well?
What's in composure?
Yes. So we have 4 for Seshet, 2 successes for Nesret.
Gotta say, I'm kind of enjoying this god form, you know? Got some nice bonuses.
3 successes.
3 successes for Tomos. So, as the lot of you continue your investigation, you notice something. More of these scarabs come out of the woodwork, as it were. Each time you turn your head, another seems to have apparated out of thin air, crawling out from underneath some corpse, squeezing its way out of some crack in the walls. Their numbers seem to be growing as you poke and prod about, but more distressing, they don't scurry about. They all seem to be transfixed. Their beady little eyes all seem to stare at each of you. What do you do?
Well, I think we're gonna have to get rid of these at some point if we want to tune back. I step on one of the bugs, squishing it. What do they do?
Yeah, you pick up your divine heel and you crush this pathetic insect under your foot. And to your eyes, you witness, I suppose all the rest of you witness as well, that in unison, all of the scarabs shudder for a moment as you step on one of their number. And with that, there's a moment of silence, the stillness of your tomb. And then more scarabs begin to emerge, coming out of the woodwork, as it were. First, a thin trickle of these insects, these beetles, but soon they pour out from the walls, black rivers carrying their ilk, flooding into the chamber. More than this cave should reasonably hold. They just pour out from the stone walls of your tomb, and they begin to coalesce in the center of the chamber. And you watch as these scarabs swarm towards the empty pedestal at the center of your tomb. And they form this mass, this mound of insects. And the almost like semi-liquid mass of them they form almost a face of sorts, or a mouth, perhaps, each made of a multitude of these beetles, and you hear the chittering of these creatures, the buzzing of wings, the rattling, the undulations of this mound, and the sounds alien at first, but they coalesce into an understandable speech. The insects, in terrible unison, mutter out a word in Iremite. And this scarab swarm, it takes you a moment to parse the intonation, as it were, the buzzing of these creatures. And it repeats the word clearer this time. And you recognize it. The mound. It speaks the Eremite word, saying simply, suffer.
Yeah. I respond with abomination, and I swing my Kopesh at this thing.
All right. Why don't we roll for initiative there?
Oh, it's been a while. I believe it is a D10 plus my composure and dexterity.
Yes, I believe it is Dex and Composure for that.
Yeah, composure and dexterity, right?
Yeah, 1d10 plus your initiative.
Or you just hit the initiative button.
Or you can do
See,
that.
like God form, all my attributes have increased, so it doesn't quite work for anything. Works for me there anymore. I rolled a 14.
All right,
Roll the
we have 14 for Seshet. We have 6 for Nesret. And I think we're just waiting on... Oh, no, there's Tamos. 8 for Tamos. And for our mound of scorpions, let me double check.
I thought it was scarabs.
Scarabs, excuse me.
They're all bugs.
Slip of the insect tongue. Where is the sheet here? Let's. I didn't roll that. A 19 for our mound of scarabs.
Go figure.
Let's see. Okay, let me get everyone on the initiative tracker here. Nesret and Seshet with 14. Okay, so Seshet, you raise your Kopesh, your divine weapon at this mass of scorpions or scarabs. Excuse me. Again, well, you'll see in a second. It undulates in response to your threat, and as you raise your Kopesh, the mound kind of builds up and takes on a new form, composited of these creatures, as it were. And a transformation takes place. The mound kind of rises up into this horrific creature. One might describe it, perhaps, in the vaguest sense as a centaur, though with a horrific twist. The upper body is that of a man, though it's wrapped, it's bandaged, and in fact you see the skin beneath the wrappings undulates, and the flesh kind of stretches to contain the swarm within. And following the humanoid torso up, there's not a human head, but that of a monstrous scarab, and its giant mandibles kind of chitter in anticipation. You can see sickly little bits of some oozing saliva dripping from its mandibles as they quiver. But more distressing is the fact that the lower half is not that of a horse, but that of a scorpion. And you see its lower appendages has the great grasping pincers of this of the scorpion, the multitude of chitinous legs, and terminating behind it in a disgusting tail topped with a great bulbous stinger that drips with a noxious green liquid. And as it takes on this new form, it directs its attention at Seshet, the greatest threat
Hello.
to it at the moment, and it attempts to grab you with those scorpion pincers that it wears.
My defense is 6.
What is your defense? All right. So let me guess.
I'm not good at combat, just saying that out right now.
All right. So here's 6, 11. All right. A singular success on its attempt, and
All right.
it lashes out as you raise your khopesh, and its pincers dart out and grab you. And as it begins to pull you in towards itself, as you get uncomfortably close to this creature, your khopesh raised, it mutters again in Aramite, more coherent this time, and the demonic hybrid scarab, scorpion, centaur beast, it jammers in your ear with those disgusting mandibles, as it is, and it tells you that clarifies its earlier statement. It says, "All must suffer." What do you do?
I don't do anything because it's got me grabbed, so it goes to Thomas's turn.
Wouldn't we roll for I suppose.
No, we roll
On the
for
next
that
turn?
on
On the
its
next-
next turn. Yeah.
okay.
So it's grabbed me. I get to act on its turn next
Alright.
turn.
All right.
So it's Thomas's turn now.
Yeah, Thomas.
So I basically lose my turn for now.
All right. So, Thomas, what do you do?
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about pillar points, and one way to recover them is to affirm our decrees, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Each
for
decree
the
is-
dash, yeah. So the dash rat, it says the best way for me to regain a pillar point is to essentially, real quick, challenging myself physically or mentally. Would me trying to go up against this regain a point, or do I have to wait till after this is all done to get it back?
Let's see here. So to clarify, the pillar refresh. The Dauntless challenge themselves, craving the rush born of pushing their limits. You regain 1 pillar point of your choice after any scene in which you choose to physically or mentally challenge yourself. So you would most definitely get a point, a pillar point back at the conclusion of this. Is you have that rush of challenging yourself.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to think.
Thinking, pondering your move.
Yeah, I'm a little stunned here. I do have one other question.
Of course.
In order to activate an utterance, I know I don't necessarily have to have all the pillar points needed to do like the most powerful parts, but do I have to have a specific pillar to start an utterance? And if I don't have it, does that mean the utterance doesn't come out, or do I just need a certain number of pillar points?
So, well, you go, Trevor. I'll let you do that.
It depends. It is. How do I say this? The pillar point expenditure is different, like for each tier. So it's a requisite number of points, and for whatever like tier that the pillar lists, you'll need to spend a point of that particular pillar.
Except for tier 1, it can be anything.
Yeah,
tier
except
1.
except for the first tier.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 1 point of that particular tier at tiers 2 and 3, and then you have to pay another pillar point of any tier.
Yeah.
On top of that.
First tier, any pillar point will do. Second and third tiers, a pillar point of the one specifically cited, and one of any.
So okay. Let's see. Wanted to double check with that.
The particular utterance you're thinking about?
Yes. I don't know if I can get it. But I'm also wondering if I maybe missed an opportunity to when I could have regained it in a previous scene, but I didn't recognize that because I kind of still learning that stuff. But anyway, it is what it is.
What are you looking to
I can't.
What are you hoping?
Well, what would have been nice is if I could have conged tier 3 of Sacred Scarab, but I don't think I can do that right now. So,
Sacred Scarab.
kind of throw more scarabs at him.
Fight scarabs with scarabs.
I mean, it's probably the best area attack I could come up with, but you know, I think based on the pillar point expenditure I've done, because I used this earlier, I don't think I can do it. So
I should rephrase again that the swarm of scarabs has reformed into this distinct entity now. But it is no longer a incoherent mass of scarabs, but it's shape shifted into this strange
I know,
creature.
but
Yeah.
it's a it's a pretty big creature, But anyway, that's the point.
Yeah, 1 point of car and 1 of any other.
Yeah, that's been used. So I don't have. I mean, I could have had any other, but I don't have.
Character sheet, you still have it marked down that you're having a point of car there.
Oh, is that what the X's mean?
Yeah.
Did you have you been marking them as you filled?
Well, I marked. Yeah, I marked as I used them, I guess, is what I was
Oh, okay, yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Like those X's, I misunderstood, but the X's, I marked down what I used the last time.
It's it works however you would want it to be. Whatever makes sense to you.
Yeah, it's whatever system works for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to track it like going down, you can do that. If you want to track it by filling up, whatever makes the most sense for you.
Yeah.
But you might also, I think you have like 2 other combat utterances, I think, as well. You got Fury of Sekhmet and Relentless Horror. Those are both pretty solid utterances if you want to unleash those. Or I mean, you got that dagger in hand. You could just go straight to stab.
No.
It doesn't have any defense right now.
Well, I guess I'll go.
That it hasn't yet restrained you. It's only initiated the grapple.
I thought both people lose their defenses at the start of grapple.
For the grapple, let me pull up the rules here.
Oh, grapple rules.
So you are thinking of the hold maneuver in grappling, which immobilizes your opponent, and both of you lose defense.
Okay. It's just initiated. All right.
Yeah. So
I'll make it easy.
It's only initiated a grapple.
I'll make it easy. I'll take a. I believe I still have a sword on me.
I think you specifically mentioned that you have a dagger in hand, but you do have the sword that you took from the soldier.
You know what? I'm not going to complicate this anymore. I'm going to take a swing with the dagger at that creature's tail.
Specifically the tail. Cut that little thing off. All right.
Are you doing like a aimed blow?
Yeah, I guess. The way Trauma sees it, it's best to try and cut off a potential weapon that could be catastrophic.
Fair. So this creature normally has a defense of 5, which would subtract 5 from your pool. But if you specifically want to target a limb like that and try and sever the tail, that would add another 2 penalty for targeting a limb. So it would be 7 dice that you'd have to overcome, which you could well do, especially if you did something like spending a willpower point or using a pillar point to boost your I guess in your case dexterity, since you're a finesse fighter.
I think I'll spend a pillar point. I'll spend one of my bob points. Use it on dexterity.
Sure. That should, I think, at second 8.
Be +4.
So you still get +4 to your dexterity, and that'll last for the scene.
+4. Got it.
And don't forget to add your specialty in daggers to the roll as well. Don't forget you got that.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm trying to remember what that does now.
The this is the specialty.
But-
It just adds an extra dice. So plus one.
It's an extra dice.
Yeah,
So-
plus one to your pool.
Plus, yeah.
Oh, 4 successes. What's the
Oh shoot! I forgot.
You
Sorry,
forgot the penalty.
I forgot. I had this.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it should be your normal pool
So-
-2.
Yeah.
With the
So
defense
4
and
dice?
the target
Yeah.
attack.
One more time. Why don't I just roll again and change the modifiers?
Yeah, just
So
roll again.
-7 if I'm attacking.
So with your +5, it'll be a grand modifier total of -2. So your dex and weaponry minus.
You know.
2.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with what I said.
A singular success. So you do manage to find some purchase in the scorpion, in the tail, and
the damage of your dagger?
I think the dagger
That's-
is a 0 modifier.
Oh.
So just the flat one, but it would enable you to do lethal damage. So you take the dagger and you dive it into the scorpion's stinger, though it isn't quite enough to sever the tail, as it were. You'll need a bit more hacking and slashing before it comes off in its entirety. That brings us to Nesret. So you see this scarab scorpion demon grasp Seshet. You see Nesret trying to cut off the stinger of the scorpion. What are you doing as this combat unfolds?
Xavier?
Oh, sorry. I got a question.
Of course, yeah.
So if something says it only attacks, you check the wording.
What ability are you trying to use or wanting to use?
Raffle Desert Power. It says it attacks opponents. So I wouldn't hurt my allies, right? Yeah.
Are you talking about the first tier, like the sand cannon?
Tier 1. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I believe that is like a targeted.
It's directed, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's
I just
not,
want to make
it's not
sure I
like
was understanding.
an AOE effect. Yes, you can channel it at a specific target.
I will use an ad pillar.
All right, you conjure your wrathful desert power. So we've touched on, the mystic flame that you've unleashed. How it's this kind of like red hot, wild, like uncontained thing. What kind of sand shoots out of you as your like jaw extends and you like attempt to blast this thing? Is it like like black, like obsidian, like volcanic sand? Is it nice, like golden beach sand? Is it more like the reddish sand of Egypt? What how does that manifest? What does that look like?
Well, the part of me really likes black sand. I think in character it makes more sense to me to red sand.
With your
of
fire
Egypt.
theme, yeah, I guess it kind of ties together. All right, so a black sand, a nice volcanic sand shooting out of you. So for the remainder of the scene, you can direct this spray of sand as a range attack. So it'll be your dexterity and athletics plus your ab with a penalty equal to its defense, which is 5, unless you want to target something specific.
No, but I will use a point of willpower to give me 3 more, so it'll be a -2.
I mean, if you wanted to be really cheeky, you could spend another pillar point and boost your dexterity. But nonetheless.
Can I use any pillar for that?
Yep, any pillow.
Yes, for boosting
I'll use my
traits,
car.
you can use any. And spending your pillar point that way is a reflexive action.
Okay,
Though you can
so
only do it
I
once a scene, so you can't just like cycle through every attribute that you can to boost it. You can only boost one specific trait or one attribute. In a
Oh,
scene.
that's okay. Because I feel like this damage modifier 3 lethal is going to be useful. So I got a +6 and a -5, so it'll just be a +1 in the end, right?
Yeah,
3
it'll be your
successes.
dex and athletics and ab -5. All right, and then you were spending the point for the dex, right? Boost?
Dex and willpower.
And a willpower. Okay, so 3 successes with a, and I believe your black volcanic sand has a damage modifier. I think it's 3. Let me double check.
3 lethal.
Yes, 3 lethal. So a grand total of 6 against this creature, as you just unleash this torrent of volcanic sand, almost like you're sand blasting this demon, and you see as like little strips of its wrappings and flesh kind of like peel away as you're sand blasting it with your utterance. So that brings us back to this scarab preacher and Seshet, as the two of you are locked in a grapple.
I'm gonna spend a point of ab here to reinforce my strength, as it sounds like I'm gonna need that like right now.
Right this instant.
And spend a point on willpower here as well. Giving me a grand total of 8 strength. I don't have brawl at all. I'm not a very combative person. Here is my roll. Total of 10 dice. Let's go. 4 successes.
Oh, 4 successes. You might
I might pull this off.
You might stand a chance.
Come on.
Oh, you do!
I did it!
You do!
Holy crap! Somebody breaking out of a brawl, a grapple without brawl?
I mean, you got that deific form running. You're running on god juice.
I break free.
Oh,
Aha!
yeah.
And it's my turn.
Yeah.
Eat feces, scarab demon, but you might actually enjoy that. I don't know.
That is kind of their thing. But anyway.
Yeah, I slash my I'm like wrestling with a scarab cat demon, and like I throw it like away from me, and I bring my Kopesh around to slice at it. Yeah, what's its defense, Trevor?
Let's see here. Again, it was just attacked this turn. Let's see here. Do. Oh. I think I might have made an oopsie. I think the Wrathful Desert Power, just reading that, I think it functions as a firearm attack, which would normally ignore defense. So if you
Ooh, do I get another 3 dice?
if you want to roll some extra dice, which would be an extra 5 dice. Or not at 5. Yeah, because your modifiers. But yeah, if you want to do that, see if you get any extra damage. In which case, the defense will
Nothing!
Nothing. Big
Big,
zero.
big
In
whoop.
effect,
I tried to give you a little extra oomph on my back.
Tried.
Could have got another exceptional.
Yeah.
Just
But
needed 2.
Yeah.
nonetheless,
So what's the defense?
5 defense.
All right. And it was attacked already, or?
Technically not, since it didn't have the opportunity
Okay.
to use defense.
All right. I slash at it. This has 8 again. I miss, whiffing horrifically. That's my turn.
And you manage to break free and slash at it, and it dodges to the side, and it lets out another phrase as you go in for the slash, and it repeats again that all must suffer, but it adds another phrase onto that. It continues saying that, for that is the law. And with that, let's go to Thomas, who's attempting to sever the scorpion's tail. What are you? Are you continuing down that path, or are you adjusting? What's or wait.
I
hold
think
on.
I'll just.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Thomas, it's your turn. Yeah.
Another quick question. If I spend willpower, how many dice does that add?
What?
3.
On top of
3 dice for willpower.
3. Okay. What the heck? 1 point. Add on to my modifiers. That's. I'm basically gonna do the same thing. Take a swipe at the tail.
All right, same thing, but with the extra +3 from willpower.
+3. So it's just a +1 down. Okay. Let's see how this goes.
No whammies.
Hey.
3.
Yeah, 3 successes. A much better blow you managed to land this time, and you jab your dagger in there. You manage to find a kink, shall we say, in the scorpion's carapace, and you slide the dagger into where the plates meet, and really dig that thing in there, and kind of whirl it around a bit. And with that, you see the tail. Tail definitely notices, responds to your blow. You see the thing kind of like writhe about, trying to wiggle out as you jam your dagger in there. And with that, the tail is still attached, though the movement is kind of a bit erratic. You wager you've perhaps loosened. I should say loosened. You might have severed some of the tendons, perhaps. Wounded it a bit, but you've yet to sever it completely, though it does seem to have been partially disabled by your attempt.
I'll take it.
Following that, Nesrat, second verse same as the first, or are you trying something different?
Well, the problem is I don't have any more of that pillar.
I believe
Well,
that lasts for the entire
it lasts,
scene. That
it lasts the scene.
Well,
Both the power and the pillar point boost that you've used will both last throughout the scene. So you can use that sand blast as many times as you want.
Oh, really?
Within this scene.
Oh, remainder of scene. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll with that again. That's a dirty roll.
As you
you
rolled
Oh, I
initiative.
rolled
initiative.
Click the wrong thing.
11 modifiers.
But yeah, so it should be your dexterity, athletics, your ab, and then 4 from your
All those dice.
pillar boost. Let's see here. Well, you shouldn't be adding the defense anymore. That
Oh, I
was,
don't get to ignore.
you still
oh,
ignore
yeah,
you still
that's right.
ignore the defense, but it doesn't give you
Yeah,
an
yeah.
additional.
You don't get a.
It's just a +6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it wrong.
Hey, better roll there that time.
But however, you somehow
What's
got
better roll?
a better roll on less dice somehow. The fates, or fate, shall we say, cosmic fate, has smiled upon you as you get a beautiful, exceptional success. 5 successes.
I bring him to his knees
As you
because now he has a
continue-
knockdown pill.
blast this thing. Ah, yes. So with that, yeah, and foes struck suffer the knockdown tilt if you achieve an exceptional success. So you not only sandblast this thing's carapace, but the sheer force, like the volume of sand that you're just like projectile vomiting onto this scarab scorpion demon is enough to knock this thing off its multitude of feet. It loses its footing underneath the sand that's now just like piling up in this room, and it suffers the knocked down tilt, which brings us back to its turn. This strange creature. So it scans the room, and it changes tactics. Its disgusting little eyes and scarab head quite quickly reorient themselves to gaze directly at Nesret, as it turns to look at this like continuing blasts of sand that are just pelting this demon, and with that, it's going to attempt to turn its ire towards you.
It can try.
It can try indeed. With
That's 5.
what's your defense? 5? Okay. So let's see here.
Knockdown gives a -2 penalty.
Yes, a -2. So it'd be a
Yeah, it would lose its action, but it already had its action last turn, so it doesn't lose it.
yeah. So I'll have the -7 between your defense and the fact that it's slipping around on the sandy soil beneath of it. Let's see what we've got here. I wonder if I can roll this on the sheet. lovely 0 successes.
Womp womp.
It turns its ire towards you, but it is not enough. And in fact, your like perpetual blasts of sand almost like keep it at bay as it's trying to get its fiendish claws on you. You keep blasting it backwards. Seshet, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, as the thing goes leaping over it towards Nest right there, Suzette quickly follows behind it, raising up her divine Kopest, who wants to bring it down, hopefully hitting something, and with the words of a famous Belmont, I say die monster. Yeah, and I make a all-out attack.
Oh, bold.
And you know what? Might as well. I'm gonna spend a point of willpower. It has 5 defense, which that pretty much gets negated out by all the bonuses I get. So it's 9 dice with 8 again. I roll one of those again, and I roll that again, and I roll that again.
Jeez.
No. So that is 5 successes. This is a divine Kopesh, so it has 3 damage with it. I don't know if divine does anything specific to this thing, but there you go. 8 lethal damage
8
with the whole
damage.
divine Kopesh.
8. All right. So a solid strike on this creature, and with that, there's your Kopesh lodges itself quite firmly into this thing and tears open a section of its torso. And as it reels from the might of your blow, the constituent scarabs that form its mass begin just like spilling out of this thing, like gushing out as if you had stabbed it in the heart, and the little army of scarabs begins to kind of pour out over the room, and with that, the creature kind of stumbles a bit, and it kind of begins to lose like the component mass that withheld it, and you see its form kind of like collapses under its own weight, and the scarabs that made up its form scatter across the room. They flee into the darkened corners. They retreat into cracks and crevices. And what's left of the mass of this creature begins to almost disintegrate or evaporate, as it will. The component hunks of its flesh that still remained was kind of like bubble and steam until they fade into nothingness. And with that, this creature dispatched, we're going to take a here, and we'll come back in a couple minutes and see what happens in the aftermath of this. So hold on tight. We'll be back in just a little bit. All right, and we are back. So we had last left off with our merit of mummies having defeated this horrific scorpion scarab creature and regaining, shall we say, some measure of sovereignty over their sacred tomb. With the scarabs dispersed, scuttling off into the darkness, seeking safety and solace in those dark corners. What do the three of you do?
Yeah. Any like scarabs, I'm viciously going on an extermination campaign that might have survived that. Yeah. I want to make an occult roll if I can. I scratch my brain and I try to like recall. It's like trying to think. Like, is this thing dead? Is this thing finally destroyed, or is this just like, is it in recuperation or something?
Yeah. Why don't you give me, let's see, either intelligence or wits and occult, yeah.
I'll go with intelligence. 3 successes.
So, you rack your brain, you ponder the possibilities, and you get the sinking suspicion that you have not seen the last of this creature, despite your best efforts to exterminate these scarabs. It did not seem like the death throes of this creature, but rather a frantic attempt at clinging to whatever miserable existence it can claim in this world.
Okay. Would I know like how to like destroy it for good?
With those 3 successes, you recognize that this is a different beast, shall we say. To the best of your understanding, you've likely just dispatched a fiend, a demon that has escaped from the depths of the Duat. And much like the lifeless Amkat, these creatures spend the majority of their time in the realm of Twilight, or as your kind would call it, Netter Katet. But more than that, these creatures don't typically escape. Duat is not a realm where many things ever escape. To the best of your understanding, such creatures only find their way out through strange astrological phenomena, the alignment of certain dark constellations in the night sky, or, more pertinently, perhaps, these creatures can be drawn up from the depths by images, idols, effigies, as it were. Those who create a representation of a fiend can draw it up from the depths and, in a sense, anchor it to whatever foul idol or image that has been constructed for it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share this with the others, that this was a fiend that has invaded our tomb, and it is not gone. Yeah, it sounds like we'll have to summon it at some point to destroy it completely.
Said it was tied to an image or an idol.
Yes.
Yeah.
That these fiends are most often conjured into the sunlit world by someone creating some sort of representation, whether that be an image or an idol or an effigy, some sort of depiction of a specific fiend can provide it a route, a passageway into the realms of the living, where they do not belong.
Would destroying said idol or image like banish it, or am I thinking too optimistically here?
Why don't you give me an occult roll as well? Let's say either
Really?
intelligence or wits if you have occult. Otherwise, you might need to conspire with your companions.
That's 0. Nesseret, buddy, can you tell me about?
How
Can you tell me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you tell me whether or not, if we destroy these images of the fiends, are they gonna be banished or something? And I forgot how. Yeah.
So, is this related to the religion?
Yes,
right.
yes, this would most definitely be part of your Iramite religion specialty.
My specialty.
Fiends are
Is that a plus 3?
+1 for specialties.
+1. Okay, cool. Success.
A single success. So you are not entirely confident, as it were. You were familiar with fiends, though you perhaps don't recall dispatching them before, but somewhere, perhaps, in your mind lies some kernel of truth. You are not certain, per se, that destroying such an image would banish it entirely, but it would likely be a step in the right direction. Without an anchor to the world, it could not remain here for long.
Yeah. Yeah, Susette's yeah, interested in finding this thing, and so she's going to continue exploring the tomb, and go towards her chamber, and open that door.
All right. So following along with that session, you make your way to your personal chambers within this necropolis, this shared tomb of your Maret. And it's more or less as you remember it. There is a library filled with shelves. There's countless clay tablets upon which there are markings of cuneiform. There are papyrus scrolls carefully wrapped and preserved. A desk even sits in the midst of this macabre library, as it were. And your writing implements are still so carefully arranged and set out for your return. But you notice something as well. Before your open sarcophagus, your canopic jars as well have been smashed, dashed against the stone, as it were. Though, once again, curiously, only 3 of the 4 are present. You can't find any shards of your 4th and final canopic jar. But more, or perhaps less stressing, that's up for Seshet to decide, but there's something else missing within your tomb. Your scrolls, your tablets, they're also lovingly and painstakingly arranged and organized. But there's something out of place. There is a hole in your collection. A singular tome is missing.
Alright, that's significantly more worrying than the canopic jars. I can get like a new body, but it's much harder to get my book.
And why don't you roll me? Why don't you roll memory?
Memory, let's go.
See if you recall
Nothing, nope.
You cannot recall exactly what tome, what tablet or scroll once adorned this now empty section of your library. But you know that it held some great significance to you. You don't remember why it was important, but given its positioning within your library, a rather central place, a place of reverence, you clearly placed some great value on this particular tome. But you can't recall its contents. But you know on an instinctual level that it was important to you. Something vital, perhaps, though what knowledge it contains escapes you at the moment. And does that worry Seshet? Like, how does...
Oh yeah, like, these books are her life's work, or Immortal's life work, so just even one of them going missing is just enough to, like, make her unstable. Yes, her cool, usual calm has been compromised.
Yeah. And with that, how does Seshet feel about it being a singular tome? That's like, you have like all sorts of interesting books here, but does that lighten the load, or does that concern Seshet more?
It probably makes things worse. They had the audacity to take something from my library. Why didn't they take all of it? Like, it's all priceless. And to take one? Alcohol.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do with that? How do you process that, or how do you
I
respond?
would break something, but I care about these books too much, so I
Go find a skeleton to kick into dust.
Yeah, I go back into the main room and I'm just like, I start like strangling one of the skeletons.
Crushing a skull beneath your foot. Taking out your rage. And Seshet unleashes her anger on these defenseless skeletons. Tomos and Nesret, what are the two of you doing as this unfolds? And you try and put these pieces back together.
Well, I should probably go, totally not find that my notebooks have all been destroyed, so I'm gonna go look at my chamber.
Alright, so, you go to investigate your room, the last of these personal chambers, and you find it much the same, that most of your items have been unmolested, your sarcophagus open, and your room is, shall we say, give the impression of a hobbyist of sorts, and you find models, miniatures, little reconstructions of buildings, of temples, different cultures, different styles. You have like a little diorama of like a Greek temple, and in another you have a recreation of like some Babylonian buildings, different architectural styles throughout the ages, kind of captured in these little models, these little effigies, as
Nerd.
But more than that, there is a collection of religious paraphernalia. Your eyes kind of follow the wall as you see varying items of the old faith, as it were. You see amulets and trinkets for the gods of Egypt. Different protective brooches, and you have like an ankh displayed, and other sort of miscellaneous antiquities that you've collected in your time. These little reminders of the gods that you had once worshipped, though in the, shall we say, bastardized form, as it were, that the Egyptians took them in, that successor state that they kept, shall we say, the faith, but the names changed, the worship changed, but they bear the most resemblance to the gods that you had once worshipped in your living days. And as well, you find that your canopic jars have been smashed, save for one, which is missing. But distressingly, there is another fixture in this room, following the trail of your religious paraphernalia. There's something out of place. And perhaps your eyes narrow as you spy it. You've seen something akin to it before. It looks like the tome, the book that Father John Vitatzes had been reading on the island. And you see it set there on your tomb. And upon the cover of this codex is an image of the cross of this damnable new faith that bubbles some sort of deep-seated anger, I imagine. And you don't recall placing this heretical tome here. How do you feel about this out of place holy text of the new faith of this land, that it's sitting here desecrating the beautiful assemblage that you have, this veritable shrine, as you will, to the nameless gods of your faith? How do you react to this holy text, this Bible, contaminating your carefully cultivated display?
I'm very angry. Very, very angry.
Who put this thing here?
It wasn't me. I didn't leave this Bible here. It must have been the interlopers.
And then I will pick it up.
What foul desecration?
Doesn't belong here.
All right.
Oh.
You collect the tome, remove it from your personal chambers. With that, what do a lot of you do now? You've each had a moment to examine your personal chambers, and go ahead.
I want to start combing through the tomb, looking for any of this image that we conclude must be somewhere in or near our tomb.
Yes.
Looking for any of this fiend.
I'm not gonna have you roll for that. As as the gears start turning, as you start looking, if you recall, there was one other mosaic, one that lined the floor around the empty pedestal that had been covered in corpses and rubble, and now drifts of sand, and a little more messy than it was. Though perhaps the sand might have blasted part of the original detritus off, leaving a section of an exposed mosaic, as it were. But as I'm assuming you go to uncover the length of this mosaic, why don't you give me either, we'll say, either an intelligence and crafts, or intelligence and expression, or
I'll go with expression.
Or another investigation roll, and if anyone wants to continue poking around the room itself, you can also do another intelligence and investigation roll and see if you can't dig up any more clues, since you were so rudely interrupted the last time.
2 from my expression roll there.
Expression. So you're somewhat familiar with the creative arts, and while you can't speak to the technical aspects of the piece here, you can interpret a bit of the message, as it were, the underlying symbolism. So you kind of push the rest of the detritus away. You're just kind of pushing aside the skeletons and the sand and other detritus until the full picture is uncovered. And you see a strange image, a pair of images, rather, and a kind of circular mosaic around this pedestal. One image is that of which you seek, this horrific entity, with the head of the scarab, the body of a man, and the lower half of a scorpion. A menacing depiction of it stands on, kind of wraps around one half of the mosaic. But there's something else. There's another part to this mosaic, opposite to it in the circle. There's a pair of figures. One of them is a man, seemingly of Egyptian descent. He kneels on the ground, and in his outstretched hands, he holds a heart. He offers the heart to the other figure in the image. A woman, as it were, bearing the head of a crocodile and the mane of a lion and the tail of a hippo. The man offers this heart to this strange woman. And you notice something about the piece, Sachet. The style is perhaps a bit more symbolic than literal. It doesn't strive, shall we say, for a perfect reconstruction, but more of an emotional connection or content, as it were. More relying on symbolism than mere representation. And you notice something about the piece. The figure, the man, the heart kind of rests kind of heavily in the man's hands. His hands are offered kind of low, as if this heart bears some great weight to him. And you see there's almost a profound sadness in the man's eyes. He offers the heart willingly, almost as if it's a burden too great to bear.
Now this is gonna be a weird question, but whoever made this, were they sincere in like the imagery of the like man offering up this heart?
Yes, to the best of your recollection, to the best of your understanding, I should say.
I have Lore Master's Guile, which actually just lets me know that, so
Yeah.
I'm confident then.
Whispered to you by the secrets of your guild. There is no falsehood here. There is only truth. There's no intent to deceive, no intent to mislead.
Right.
And more concerning, perhaps, with your 2 successes, not fantastic, but you realize that this mosaic here, as it's depicted on the floor of your tomb, now that you look at it, you take it in, there's a worrying thought, perhaps, that whoever crafted this piece, whoever put this here in your tomb, there's let me take that one step back. You do not recall this mosaic being here. You're fairly familiar with your tomb. You've seen it through lifetimes, and in each it's so painstakingly reconstructed, no matter where or when you find yourselves. And you don't recall commissioning this image here. You don't remember adding this to and it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that you would.
Yeah,
But,
it doesn't quite suit
yeah,
my
it
taste.
doesn't quite jive, and you don't quite recall what this image is alluding to. But more worrying than that is you're not entirely sure with those 2 successes, but whoever did this piece, this mosaic, it's either a very good copycat of the style that the rest of your tomb has been decorated with, or more distressingly, that the artist is one and the same.
Okay, another question about that. Is it actually a real or a forgery? I know that as well.
There's no, shall we say, I guess, attempt to claim credit here. There's no, name or sigil, shall we say, that adorns this piece or claims it as someone's. But to the best of your knowledge, through the secrets of your guild, this doesn't appear to be a forgery. This appears to be a genuine article.
Okay. So the person that helped made a tomb also did this. Only I can remember.
Yeah, you don't actually roll a memory. Do you even recall who you commissioned?
No, I didn't. I rolled that wrong anyway, but still, no.
Negative. You kind of rack your mind like, who? And there's
Maybe
nothing. Like, did you even do it personally? Did you have someone in your cult make the contacts and commission the pieces? You honestly don't recall.
Yeah, maybe I there's a written record somewhere in my library about the construction of this tomb. Maybe it's written there. Whoever did the mosaics. Seth goes back into her chamber and starts looking through her books and see if she's left essentially some written evidence of the construction of this tomb.
Yeah.
Deeds or whatever.
So, why don't you go ahead and give me, we'll say, intelligence and academics as you peruse your.
I should ask, do I still have my Blessed is the God King up, or is that weared off?
At this point, probably when you had, shall we say, witnessed the desecration of your tomb, of your personal chambers, as that kind of dread gripped you. I imagine the magic of your utterance began to kind of wear off, and now at this point you've kind of settled back into your true form, as it were.
Would my writing speciality count for this?
Yeah, I think that would definitely be the case in which that would be most applicable. Well, while you are perusing your scrolls, your tablets, searching for that, what is Thomas and Nesret doing?
I want to check out this Bible. I want to start reading the Bible.
All right.
I mean, this tome.
Yes.
Whatever the hell
what is even in this tome of heretical knowledge? All right. So, while you start perusing your own book, what's Tomos doing? Are you satisfied with the investigation thus far? Are you still poking around, or what's drawn your attention?
I think I definitely want to re-examine my chamber again. Maybe even touch some of the stuff in my chambers to see if they bring back any memories, including some of the stuff I don't recall having. Like the tortured part of the chamber. That is.
Yeah. So you you look about your personal chamber. You start examining your items, trying to force some sort of memory, some sort of recollection from them. Why don't you go ahead and give me a memory roll and see if any of the pieces spark something in you.
Those are D10, right?
Yeah, it should be 3d10.
3d10.
Zero successes. So, frustratingly, you walk through all of this, and well, on some level, you're sure most of it is yours. Nothing in particular speaks to you, although this is perhaps the most personal collection that you have. Nothing jumps out to you. There's no eureka moment, no flashback. And again, you're drawn to these implements of the whip, the chain, the manacles, these rather macabre instruments. And you don't recall if you put these there, if someone else put these there, but you're not even sure if they're out of place or not, but to you, at least, right now, it doesn't seem to fit. You're not quite sure where to put your thumb on it, but it's unusual. You don't quite recall, but you would probably rightly wonder, who else would put these things on your wall. What tomb robber, what desecrator would willingly decorate your chamber with antiques? Or maybe this is some attempt to mess with you, to tell you something?
Any chance I can examine the equipment and see maybe if it looks like it's been used?
Yeah. So the articles appear relatively genuine, and from your impression of them, there's most definitely some wear and tear. These pieces have seen some use, whether shackled to the limbs of some unfortunate soul, or the wear on the leather tip of a whip. These implements have seen use. They have done what they were made to do, to punish, to contain, to There is one other, shall we say, pressing concern while we are here. And some of you have mentioned it, shall we say, before, but I'm sure many of you are feeling drained. Many of your resources have been expended in these days, or this day, excuse me. It's been a long day, but your tomb is off. It is askew. You could meditate here and now, but you'd lack, shall we say, the mystical reinforcement of your tomb, the energies it would bring to you in its current form. It's too hampered by the events that have befallen it. You've been disinterred, as it were, your tomb desecrated, the central relic missing from your pedestal. There's no energy to flow through the tomb's sacred geometry. But of the three of you, Nesret, you are a member of the Tefabi, the architects, the builders. It was your guild that constructed tombs such as these, your guild that founded these principles. If anyone could repair this, it would be you. And you reckon you have a good place to start, as any, as you so astutely noticed before, the lack of a relic is quite obvious. And setting something in its place would likely to do some great amount of good in restoring the proper geometrical alignment of your tomb, although there is much work to be done clearing the corpses, washing out the taint that fills this room. But of all the band-aids, of all the repairs that you could do, that would be the most impactful, the effects most immediate and obvious. And
Do we have that jet thing?
And
Yeah.
you do recall that you had stolen that Jed, that
Rightfully reclaimed, mister. All second belongs to the judges.
yes. Matter of perspective, perhaps. But yes, the relic that you so rightfully reclaimed from your prison tomb that you nabbed beneath the gaze of that Sphinx Amkat.
Yeah.
But what does a lot of you do? Do you yeah.
I will. Yeah. I imagine
bring
we're
it up.
probably, like talking about it. Like, yeah, like that's probably a good idea. And I will take the Jed to the center of the three chambers, and with the pillar centerpiece, I will place the Jed on top.
Sure.
Bonk.
Why don't you go ahead and give me, we'll say, an intelligence and occult roll to properly align it. If you guys want, you can certainly do a teamwork.
A teamwork action? Yeah, it's teamwork. This. Yeah, I will help you. Help Nesseret. I feel Nesseret's the most occult aligned here.
Yeah, I got 3 dots.
Oh, you got you get 3 extra dice from me.
Neat.
I rolled pretty damn fucking well.
Okay.
What up?
And
Would
I think
Thomas like to help?
I don't think
Oh.
Thomas is.
Or can it only be one person?
It can be multiple, but
I don't have anything in occult,
yeah.
so I
you
probably
probably need more
Wow.
ignorance than anything.
yeah.
But your specialty in I remember my religion.
So we got a +4.
I think that might apply here.
I got this. Easy. Oh.
Hmm.
Better
Two
than nothing.
successes.
2 successes. So, you find some success. You take the jet that Seshat has been holding on to all this time, pocketed. It's just been your strange little stone companion so far. A curious little piece, as it were. And you carefully place it on the pedestal. You align it precisely, trying to fixate the damaged energies of this chamber to flow through it. And you do. You place the Jed. You kind of do your best to place it precisely where it needs to be according to the strange arcane principles of your guild. And there's a satisfying thrum of power as you find precisely the right spot, as you speak precisely the right words. And you feel a thrum of power vibrate throughout the tomb, a pulse, as it were. And it doesn't quite clear the foulness, the mystical stench that still clings to your tomb. But you feel the energy, this electrifying sensation as it returns to your tomb, as this relic assumes its rightful spot upon your pedestal. And you bask in that energy for a moment. Until that is the Jed cracks. It had been a strange piece, as it were, shaped almost as if the hands of a child. The surface is rough and uneven, and there was some hairline fractures, as it were. Perhaps dropped or fired incorrectly, but nonetheless, it was worked into a relic, this Jed. But those cracks, they grow and spread. A spider-like web that etches its way across the Jed and glows with a faint black light. And there's another pulse of energy. But it's different this time. There's power to be had here, but something is wrong. And you hear it for a moment, following the second wave of power as this Jed settles into your life web. There's a faint moaning, a faint wailing that seems to echo from the very walls of your tomb, a multitude of almost whisper-like, but pained voices crying out for help, for you to save them. And as you hear this quiet cacophony of maddening whispers, it's interrupted by the arrival of one of your compatriots. Minervina has descended into the depths of your tomb, fearless as she is, and she bears a scroll in her hands, a papyrus scroll, old text. There's a remite written upon it. Minervina explains there's a runner, a messenger. They were looking for you, Sachet. She presents you this scroll. You read the Aramite. There's an invitation upon it, a request for an audience, a request from an individual identified as the White Jackal, one of another, shall we say, another merit, one who follows or I should say leads the Kent Hanu, as you would understand, to mean the first chorus. And with that, as two, shall we say, ominous threads collide, an invitation from seemingly another Arisen, and a strange twist to the relic that you have just installed. We shall conclude this session here, and end number 5. So, with that being said, as this chronicle unfolds, how are your characters dealing with these new revelations, and how are you as a player feeling about things so far?
Susette's upset. Her tomb's been defiled, her organs scattered, her book stolen, and yeah, she's not happy. Also hungry for pillar points, which seems so difficult to get your hands on these days. Yeah, but I'm having fun.
Awesome.
I did more on that fight than I thought I was. As soon as I got grabbed, I was like, nope, this is it. This is my life.
For me. But no, you pulled that off. That was pretty lucky. Fate was on your side.
It was.
Yeah. Zavlus or Prez? What about you guys?
Well, I feel like Nesseret's upset about finding the Bible in his possessions, but I think he's feeling really good. He had a lot of success today. He found the tomb, lit it up, the relic.
Dispatched a fiend.
Yeah, dispatched a fiend.
I don't know if you can
did
quite
it very
say
well.
It's fiend. Yeah.
Well, you bested
Well,
him
I
for
got
that
to be
time.
a boss. Yeah,
There you go.
I knocked him off his feet.
Literally. A multitude of feet. But anyway, how are you doing, Zavlus? Feeling all right?
I'm feeling good.
Oh.
I think, yeah, it's just a little bit of stress. He's because obviously someone took the jar for something.
But what?
And the Bible.
But what? Um,
Things for future. I should have. I gotta look. I gotta stay positive. Look at the good things.
yeah, you got your tool back. That's one of your objectives that you've.
Step 1.
Yeah, step 1. We're getting there. It's a 12-step program. Anyway.
Under profit.
Prez, how's things going for Talos? How are you doing?
Oh, he's incensed. Someone was in his tomb. They took it. They smashed his organs. Took another one. He's feeling pretty. He's feeling. He's feeling like blood needs to be paid. He's also very frustrated. He can't regain any memories from any of the stuff in his tomb. He might try again, but yeah, he's definitely frustrated about that. He did feel good about essentially not really using too many of his powers yet, being able to do some damage to that creature's tail. You know, at least I'm assuming that probably would have been a pretty gnarly attack if it hit any of us. So
yeah, don't wanna mess with that strange arcane poison. Better not to find out. But
so yeah, but yeah, he's seething right now. As for me, definitely excited to see what happens with this invitation, and hopefully next time I can do some more chatting with my inheritor.
all right, well, sounds good. Well, with that, thank you guys for joining me today. Thanks for playing, and thank you for everyone who's been watching with us today, whether you just tuned in for this session or whether you've been here with us since the beginning. And thanks again to Onyx Path for having us here. And a big thank you to Tabletop Audio, as they're the background music that I've been using. Check them out. Speaking of checking things out, they still have the OGL sale over at Indie Press Revolution, so if you want some stuff at a nice discount, go check that out. There is also the Onyx Path Game Night that's on the last Friday of the month that you can play some games there as well. And finally, crowdfunding. The Realms of Pugmire 2E, that Kickstarter is going strong. There's been more than a couple stretch goals that have been unlocked, but if that interests you, go check that out and maybe help unlock even more. And with that, thanks again to everyone, and we hope to see you guys on the next session of Oceans of Eternity. Have a good one.